Warning: this post contains minor spoilers for episode 1 of Mr. Robot's third season, which started last night. The trailer for Mr. Robot S3. Mr. Robot seems to know we all need Cliff's Notes at this point. Wait, what's stage 2 again? How does this character know the character? Its season 3 premiere largely throws audiences a bone with some table setting, reintroducing us to the main players as they pick up the pieces in the aftermath of various season 2 twists. Remember, the FBI snagged Darlene, Elliot got shot, Angela agreed to help the Dark Army, power outages ran rampant in NYC. So resist the urge to pause and head to Wikipedia, and Sam Esmail & Co. will reward you with ample episode reminders. Based on last night's first hour EPS 3.0 power saver mode, everything still seems to be revolving around the ominous stage 2 on a macro plot level. As we learned late last season, Elliot, technically Mr. Robot, devised an attack with Terrell and the Dark Army where core paper records will disappear via massive explosion, thus completing his anarchistic goals to destroy the digital shackles maintaining wealth inequality. It turns out the femtocell Elliot programmed for Darlene that Angela sneaked into an FBI temporary camp didn't aspire to capture evidence of the Bureau's snooping, instead it was meant for hacking a corp. And now Mr. Robot Leo-T-Ruled Dark Army believe they can fill a skyscraper with hydrogen and cause the transformers inside to light the fuse. Elliot's Batman-like knuckle ethos be damned. As an aside, that was tech advisor Ryan Kazanchian's favorite S2 hack, and it took a week plus to sort out, as he told us on our On Hiatus Decrypted podcast. Kazanchian has already outlined his work from S3 premiere if interested. This being Mr. Robot, of course things will only become more complicated than that. The premiere makes it clear Elliot and Mr. Robot have different goals, and not every major player appears to be aware of that. Expect S3 to really drive home how complicated life can get when everyone from your childhood best friend to an omniscient leader of an international hacking ring seems aware of your condition to varying degrees and tries to leverage it in pursuit of their own interests. Phew, but if you're still following along with Mr. Robot after a hit and miss S2, chances are plot isn't the only or even the most important thing keeping you around. And luckily, based on screening some of this season's early episodes, the show continues to deliver on a lot of other fronts even if its story can feel stretched at times. Come for creativity, stay for Carnival immediately. The show's unique visual flair welcomes viewers back. Power outage-stricken NYC looks particularly grim and helps bits of neon from barbecue shop lights or hacking competition scoreboards really pop early on, establishing a color palette unlike anything else on TV. Esmail continues to find camera angles others don't, too. One particularly notable sequence starts our vantage point with a tight shot on White Rose within an Corp nuclear facility, gradually raises us skyward to look down upon a dark NYC building, then seamlessly transports us into the retina of one Elliot. All this and all while Julie Andrews' version of Whistling Away artfully scores it. If the aesthetic keeps you watching, there's no sign of Mr. Robot's innovative filmmaking slowing down here. Don't worry. The hacking ambition and technical detail that attract such a devoted internet following returns as well. We see Elliot stumble upon a DEFCON CTF capture the flag competition still taking place between global collectives despite the city being without power for a week. A CTF tournament, Hacker Olympics, Elliot thinks. The entire city is suffering an energy crisis while they're here exercising their inner anarchy. And even in this first episode, Mr. Robot rewards those who have followed security news in the past year. I can't think of another car chase that ends like that in recent memory. The show also maintains its sense of humor. Alf killed someone on screen last year, remember, despite only deepening its dark portrait of society and human nature. Elliot roams the streets in a Josh Groban t-shirt at one point. White Rose still holds her associates' figurative hands as she dazzles them with wordplay. And while Leon's love for Seinfeld is nowhere to be found yet, new addition to the cast Bobby Cannavale steps in as a delightfully too much fixer for the Dark Army this season. Cannavale's character has a constantly detached calm combined with a know-it-all smugness, kinda like the old Jason Sudeikis character on SNL right down to the Bluetooth headset, but more threatening given Cannavale's associates here. At one point he outlines the flawed logic of not getting a free shake for his loyalty card punch till the next visit, only to leave the cashier with an ominous tip. It's not about the money, it's the principle, he tells her. When we lose our principles, we invite chaos. Given the unexpected importance new characters tend to show later in Mr. Robot seasons, we'll be monitoring this guy. But in perhaps its most fascinating tradition, Mr. Robot has always been a prescient show when it comes to building its world in a way that reveals truths about ours. S1 set up an Occupy-fueled battle over inequity long before Bernie Sanders started filling arenas across the U.S. S2 features government hacks, crypt ransomware gone wild, along with references to the dichotomy of ineptitude versus destructive power inside a certain would-be politician. And even though these seasons aired in 2015 and 2016 respectively, the writer's room came up with such concepts even further in advance. In this premiere, we get an extended monologue from Elliot that reminds us the show will continue to have plenty to say about the present even if it remains set in this semi-apocalyptic version of 2015. They're having the way with us. They packaged our fight into product, turned our dissent into intellectual property, televised a revolution with commercial breaks, refurbished the facts then upped the price, lobotomized us into the VR horror show. Elliot opines in one of his signature monologues while images of Antifa and Nazis, climate change and Brexit montage on by. What if instead of fighting back we give away our privacy for security, exchange dignity for safety, trade in revolution for oppression? What if we choose weakness over strength? He continues, his dialogue now spliced with audio of Donald Trump uttering, "These are not the people that made our country great, these are people destroying our country," during some campaign event. This is what they wanted all along, for us to buy in on our worst selves, and I just made it easier for them. I didn't start a revolution, I just made us docile enough for the slaughtering. In uncertain times, whether you define them through the lens of personal, political, global well-being or something else entirely, watching shows about catastrophic downfalls accented by violence can be too tedious. A real world generates enough anxiety, according to this line of thinking, so why devote any time to this? Such logic got me out of The Walking Dead long ago, and it'll probably have me skipping a seemingly brooding version of the Justice League later this fall. The plot of Mr. Robot centers on chaos, destruction, and manipulation, but at this point the show's plot may be the least of many viewers' concerns. Mr. Robot also shows the value of portraying reality through its approach to hacking. It shows how art can still be found in even the darkest settings, and it asks viewers to grapple with potentially upsetting real-world forces, from mental illness to inequity to fascism to surveillance states and back again, through a modern-day thought experiment as opposed to one set in a galaxy far, far away. So even if we'll likely need the Cliff's Notes again by the end, S3 of Mr. Robot initially looks to have plenty to offer those jumping in for another 12-episode ride. Listing image by NBCU.